My internet provider decided to take a 7-hour maintenance shutdown during this time period, apparently, starting an hour before the workshop, and didn't let anybody know. Okay, so let's see here if I can put the background up.
He's back.
Okay.
Studio is back on.
Hi, Dean. Do you need a couple of minutes to start broadcasting? Maybe a couple of minutes to find your microphone settings.
You carry on, just leave it. They can add and edit later on.
Okay, very good. So let me start the
Is your
recording.
YouTube on?
YouTube is on, and
Live stream is on.
we should not live stream right now, but the live streaming to YouTube. We have Zoom. We are recording, so we should be ready to continue, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, let's start with questions then. We have a couple of hands up, Salomia and Ed. Go ahead, Salomia.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. I have a question and maybe a request for Mr. Keshe if he can make a synthesis with all teaching, maybe in one lesson or 2 lessons, it's up to him, in order to have a global view about our plasma science for all the people, because I'm a Kiev TV representative from many countries, understand only nanotechnology by plasma science. And perhaps we have to make clear to all this message that we are eternal, and we have to understand our essence, our nature, divine nature. And why? Because this helps us to be healthy, to be young, and to contribute to universal development of the soul, because soul also evolve, is not forever there. So for me, it's very important, the soul aspect. And the question also is how we can make videos for Universal Council to show to the people and to humanity that we need to create peace at the soul level. We need to create peace inside us and between 2 souls and between many souls of the planet, in order to be integrated in universal community, which is peaceful, to be integrated in plasma ethics and in plasma theology. I will stop here because I don't want to talk too much. I would like rather to hear from you. Thank you very much. Much love, respect, and appreciation from the bottom of my heart. You answer to many questions of my life. I wait so long to meet you, Mr. Keshe. And thanks to Mitra, thanks to God that they sent you to me to clarify and illuminate my soul. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In so many ways, we cannot bring all the teaching down to a few hours. It's taken the Creator billions of years, man time, to have the knowledge, to share the knowledge, and it cannot be done in such a short time. But a lot of people choose to stick and stay with the physical dimension, with nanotechnology and the rest. What we teach becomes part of the totality. what we put forward. The understanding of the soul of the man has to come by intuition. It has to come by understanding the work of the creation. And in so many ways, we stay course the way we done, and it's for different people to understand different aspects of the teaching according to their knowledge. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I was happy with Alex trying to make a synthesis because I was not able to come from the very beginning. I didn't know you teach so lovely teaching. I came when you start to teach about the soul, and you fulfill my needs. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Salmia. We've got a question from Ed as well here. Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you, Mr. Keshe. I'm not sure if this is a question that can
Where
be
are you
answered.
from? Where are you from?
I'm-
Could you introduce?
My name is Ed. I'm from Indiana in the United States.
Thank you.
And how do we, we develop our communication of the souls by tuning into our emotional content in our minds.
It's not a matter of tuning. It's a matter of us understanding the process of creation. When we want to pick up a cup from a table, we automatically send the message, there is a water in the cup, I'm thirsty. The hand reaches out, takes the cup, brings the cup to the mouth, and you drink. And the beauty of it is, the instant you drink, the satisfaction of the what we call thirst being satisfied. It's the same way. Things are not reflexes. One of the biggest things which I have explained before is that, first of all, go one step further in. Go one step further within. You think you want to pick the cup, but what did come first, the thirst or the presence of the cup? Or has your eye, physical eye, has seen the water in the cup and then decided that I want the water? And then analyze, where did that emotion come to start with, that there is a need? How many of you have ever thought, because this is one of the biggest dilemmas if you don't understand what I'm talking about, but If you understand it, it'll become one of the first ways. It says, sorry, Rick, it says a stream on the YouTube and live stream is ended up. Just let you know. They don't have anything. Rick in the background. It's, have you ever thought that if you want to speak a sentence, if you want to express an emotion, or somebody speaks to you and you want to answer, forget about writing, just by voice, or even by thoughts. Where does that information come? How is it collected for that thought or that sentence to be made that you physically speak? We are not going into the level of the noise you make. We are not going into the emotion of how that information reaches your voice box. We are going into the level of how even the thoughts, the structure, the physical structure of making that sentence has come into operation in the brain. Then, if you go to that step and beyond it, then try to understand what's the essence, what the source of that field which is created, in what manner, who decides the sentence, which part of your brain decides the sentence, putting what, plus emotion bringing some of its, what do you call, information to it, the position bringing some of its information to it, that it makes that sentence. On a computer, when you sit, you type, I want water. It's nothing else, just we understand that wanting water. This is it. But in essence, when that I want water is going through your head, the emotion of the thirst comes into that. Where is it? We haven't learned that to put in our computers. Otherwise, we write another sentence. My emotion is I'm thirsty. And then where does it come, the second sentence or the third sentence? I'm satisfied with the drinking of, with the touch of the first water. And then it comes the emotion of being hot. That's why we want some water. But where does this initial information comes to make that sentence? I want water because I'm thirsty, because it's hot. We don't see the other letters, the other part of the sentence in the original sentence. We just see the action of the cup getting picked up, the hand going to pick it up. One of the most important points for anyone to be able to move into the next step in trying to reach the understanding is to understand where that came from. Many of us think that we speak through our voice box, but in fact, our voice box is a converter of the emotion, of the fields, of the part of the brain which creates the wave of the emotion and the strength of the voice box. This is why some of us cannot speak, but can show expression, emotion with hand and fingers or whatever. We have changed the emotion of the hand with the box. If the scientist, if the knowledgeable men of the future understand, our voice box is not where the noise is made. Our voice box is a converter of the information which comes from the brain of the man. When it touches it, vibrates, becomes a voice. We do not control every single vibration piece within the voice box. It's just like having so many cups of water, and which one you tick on, the noise comes. But the actual noise comes from the spoon, motion of the spoon to the cup. The knowledge of the physicians of today has not reached that maturity of understanding. It's the same when you have a prostate cancer. The fields of the emotion from the spot in the brain transferring to the prostate, which creates that cancer with the wrong tuning, because there is no need for this. Mankind has to go to the next step. And then you understand the operation of the soul. Because that knowledge of I want water, I'm thirsty, and because it's hot, comes from the collective work of the soul of the physicality of the man, which transfers that information through. Somebody's microphone is open in the back. This process is part of understanding the totality. What is the origin of the voice you speak? What is the origin of the thoughts you have? That it becomes thought and is comprehensible. It's not just I and then want and then water, hot, thirsty, blah, blah. It comes in a sequence. And our brain decides this part of it nobody else needs to know. But this part of it we can speak, I'm thirsty. There's nobody here. If I tell in a room which I'm on my own, I'm thirsty, say, what the idiot, the guy's talking to himself. But what do? I don't want to speak it, but I put my hand and I pick up the cup. I translate the knowledge from the voice into the action of the physicality of reaching to grab the glass. But the information with a man is you pick up the glass. But what is that initial thing? Energy field has come to express the emotion of the thirst, the heat, and the water. This is what mankind tries to understand. Then you become closer to yourself. What is the origin of our thoughts? What is the origin of our voice? What is the origin of our action? That it leads to the noise, that it leads to the action, what is that it leads for something to be done. This is the level which mankind has to move on to. What is and where does our body converts the emotion, the knowledge, the words that we speak or we do. Then you come closer to understand the work of the soul of physicality, the soul of emotion, or the soul of the man. The soul of the man brings one part. The soul of physicality brings another part. And the soul of emotion has to translate it. And the interaction of the three makes like little lights, little plasmas that our brain converts to sentence. And then that sentence as a whole radiated out. But the interaction with our voice box becomes our noise, becomes what we call talk. And in different animals, different frequencies are sent to the voice box or to the ear, allows us to hear or to speak. I can make any dumb or a deaf person to speak and be listened to, because you just need to create a condition of the interaction with the strength of the soul of the man in the dimension of the voice. In a way, I can put a planet in the interaction with the fields from the soul of the physicality. Anywhere in your body, your toes will talk. And then you say the guy's toes speaks. Because all I've done, the strength of the field from the soul of the man, which is put the emotion and the sentence together, needs to interact with a position of the inertia of the conversion to become a noise. If you understand it, you have the sun and you have the earth and you have Saturn. We still create helium on Earth as much as helium is created on the atmosphere of the Saturn. Where do you want the helium? From the interaction of the fields of the inertia of the atmosphere of the Earth, we create the helium. So, in a further distance, the weaker fields in Saturn create the same. But it cannot create plutonium because it lost most of its strength. There is still some plutonium which reaches there. So, if you understand that we have to go to the essence of the source, which is the interaction of the soul of the interaction of the fields of the physicality of the soul of physicality and the soul of the emotion in that position. And when these three come together in interaction with the fields, the strength, amino acid of what we call a voice box, we make the noise. I said many times, I never show things because otherwise we become like a magician of the past, rising the dead, moving the seas, and all the fantasies that goes with it. We make you to understand the knowledge that you can do, understand why what was in the sea, but the tie which allowed Moses to cross, or in fact, Christ transferred his soul to the soul of the man, that the soul rose and the physicality followed. This way, if you understand, there is no magician in the universe. Especially now, the man matures to the level of understanding the work of the soul of the universe. Go one step back. Try to analyze. If I bring a physical system that I can put on my toe, which receives the same field of strength from the emotion of the body called brain, my toe will speak. And I can make it in the dimension of amino acid and physicality. This is the truth about the creation. But man has always moved around the physicality of it because it's easier to explain. But if the voice box was the only dimension of the transfer of knowledge and emotion, then how do the deaf and the dumb use their arms and legs, transfer the same information to all of us? I was observing a deaf and dumb person yesterday sitting in a public area and communicating perfectly on a mobile phone to somebody else on the other line. And all he was saying was, he's in a barber, he's getting a haircut. I could understand it because I knew why he was there. And I could understand the impression of it. I didn't need a voice box. So what we're going to do on the planet Zeus when you have no ears and no arms and no tongue or no voice box? You're still alive. You still want to communicate with the guy on planet Zeus. So you go to the strength of the soul because that's what you understand. Then he translates it to what he understands according, because the strength of the joy is the same. Does not matter in which part of the universe you want to live. Any other question?
So, what is it that hinders us from developing this depth of awareness of this
the ignorance
emotion
of ourselves? The ignorance of ourselves. Physicality is easier than trying to understand to us because we become lazy to it, become habitual to it. But once we understand the other side, we tell ourselves, what a stupid thing we done. Why have we gone eating by putting the food in our mouth by going around the head?
Is it our attachment to the physicality?
I think that's the only way.
I do too. but when you want something still from the physical life, how do you just count them as you go within and say, no, it's not worth it to keep myself from the dimension of the soul because I still want some things?
Depends, you choose at the point of manifestation, huh? We choose how we do.
There's a lot of flavors in the ice cream store, but we don't want to eat them all at once.
But we want all of it.
It's a tough question because it goes down to the root of virtually everything that we interact with in our physicality world, and we're, as humans, we tend to be identified with our ice cream as a perfect example, and the whole process of selecting the correct ice cream for that day and how you feel about the ice cream and all the things that are interacting about it and so on. And maybe you forgot to look inside during that process and were just thinking about the physical aspects of it all and missed that you are an actual soul interacting with all these physicality things that are going on.
Yeah, but you got to understand that we choose. The same as we choose our friends, we choose to be in the dimension of physicality. We have chosen this way, but because it's comfortable, because it's the way we can talk to our mom and dad and our friends from the child. It's very strange how we see life dictated by new life, and how the new life will change us because we accept a new dimension. And if we accept that new dimension, then life is peaceful because we accept it and we can live with it. It's the way we feel peaceful in a violent family, because as long as you say violent, everybody is the same. So we are all the same. When you stay in a loving family and then everybody loves and is peaceful. We choose to want the strength, we want to adjust, and we want to live with it. And I watched this very carefully in the past few months, and it's amazing. It's amazing when I see how new life brings changes. Doesn't matter how fast you want to go. I'm not going that fast. I'm peaceful, I'm calm, and I want to be in my domain. You cannot change me unless you want to change to me. And it's a pleasure to see, and in a way, you have the time to analyze, to sit outside and see within the framework of I choose when I speak, I choose when I do whatever, and it's my condition. You cannot change it. And I want to be peaceful. You cannot change it. But one of the most important parts, which part of today's teaching is about, and Dean brought it up, and we can put it in a very, very direct way, is where does your thoughts come from? That leads to an action. And what is the consequence of that thought? Why does your brain create such emotions to interact with the thoughts to show such a reaction? When you say a sentence, when you start a sentence, when you think of something, just ask yourself, where is that come? Where is that initial thing came from to make this sentence? To make this sentence with the emotions including in it. Then you come, that is the very much like the light you see in the sky from interaction of the fields of the earth and the sun. And one thing which you forgot, there are other entities creating fields that their interaction is part of your daylight, or what you call your night vision side. Then you understand that what you get, that man goes to bed, or is it dark, the birds go to sleep, and when is the light, they wake up, is the same way as you speak your words. Is the interaction of the field of the earth, the interaction of the field of the sun, the interaction of the fields of the soul of the bird, and the reaction of waking up or going to sleep in a physical dimension. Would the man will ever go to sleep in a space? I doubt it. As you don't feel any different waking up in the morning when you're young, 6 o'clock in the morning, and 6 o'clock at night, you're still playing football, 10 o'clock at night, you're still having laughter and fun with your friends. The man will have 3 o'clock in the morning of the man at time, most probably playing a squash, and 6 o'clock going to somewhere else. But how do we time ourselves in the space? We are timing ourselves in the earth manner, which is milliseconds in the world of the creation. Do we just wake up, go up every few milliseconds? When we are in the span of the universe? Or does a man who comes from another planet on Earth and in the cycle of his day is a century of us, or 1,000,000 years of us, do we see him walking all the time because he's waiting for the night time in 1,000,000 years for him? This is what mankind has to understand. But what kind of emotion arises in you in the day and night, and what kind of emotion arises in that guy who's actually day and night awake because his sleep time is 1,000,000 years down the line? Our annual cycle is, or our daily cycle is 24 hours of the man, not the rest of the universe. If we divide the cycle of the rotation of the planet around its sun and call it 1 year, Jupiter people have 1 year totally different than us, and 1 day of theirs is totally different than us. Do we call the man from Jupiter, it's a bedtime, let's go to sleep? He says, I just woke up 5 minutes ago, I've got the whole day to go through. This is why we tell to travel in the dimension of the soul. This is why we introduce the new knowledge, that there is no time and space. You decide at point of manifestation to create the time, the space, and the position. Then man will travel in totally different dimensions and directions. And then, even then, you have to ask, where has the emotion, where has the information has come for the body of the man to decide to manifest itself at that point and not somewhere else? Then you understand the line of communication across the universe is totally and utterly on the basis of the field's interaction of the emotion of the universe, not the earth and not your brothers and sisters, what they do to you. We live a two-dimensional life, one in the dimension of physicality and one dimension of the soul. Ask yourself one question. Now we've been going on for nearly just about 2 hours. Physically, you've been here for past 2 hours. But do you know where your soul has been? None of you do. It's got a foot in your body, but the other foot is loose and fancy. But where has it been? You spoke or you listened to the teaching, but what is he speaking of when he's having his lunch and dinner, and who is with? In the time of sleep, you have a little bit of control. You might see him with the mom or with the dad or having a party, but doesn't sleep, doesn't go to sleep when you're asleep. So definitely it's not asleep when you're awake. What knowledge, what information brings that your physical body then translates through the soul of physicality and the emotion to something that what you want to do. You wanted, you love to see your cousin you haven't seen for a long time, and you wish, oh, I wish I could see him. The soul knows that was a pure wish because you really miss it. Communicate with the soul of the cousin. Let's arrange, let them meet in Pizza Hut by accident. And you walk into the Pizza Hut, he walks in Pizza Hut, and you're sitting around, oh, I was hoping to see you, I wish I could see you, and you're here. There's no coincidences in the work of the soul of the man. My wish is my command. And then how the souls interacted, talked, that to be in Pizza Hut, that we both met each other, that because they really both miss each other, they want to see each other. How when you lost friendship, which you wish you could create back again, have come that way. I was thinking about you a few weeks ago, and now you are here. Because the soul arranged it to understand. He wished the same, so we organize it and meet each other. You call it coincidence? Not by far shot. But still, what's the language of the soul? That they communicate. That they, through understanding of the languages of emotional physicality of you, get the information to arrange for you to see your blind date. Nothing in the world of creation is left to chances. It's you who make them. But because you don't understand it, you call it coincidence. It was just a wish and the rest. I was explaining this recently. There is no coincidence to the people we meet and we fall in love with and we have a relationship with. Everyone has a purpose in that progress of the development of the soul. Our physicality brings us to be there because the souls have already planned it out, because you're supposed to learn or create something out of that new relationship. Accident is the only time when the sperm and egg come together. Depends which one can reach, which one carries the gravitational field of the other. And the science, they say, oh, one manages to break through the egg. You have to see if he had the tune, the strength of the soul of the egg, that he could break it. Otherwise, no way. Out of billions of sperm traveling towards the egg, only one carries that tune. And the science says, oh, they lose the strength, blah, blah, blah. Rubbish. We have to understand the truth about the creation. And then we have a different way of living, and we have a different way of what we call possession. There is no more soul searching. It's understanding the truth about the operation of the souls within the body of the soul of physicality, the soul of emotion, and the soul of the man. We got the feedback. I think it's something to do with the lens station. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, in the Q&A, there's a a question from Viv, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe, and thank you for the teaching of today. Danica of the Italian team is asking, if the soul is immortal, in what sense is it created in the womb?
The soul is immortal, and a new soul is created in the womb by amalgamation of other souls, of what I want to put out. When you have the banana and the milk, the banana and the milk is you who put it together, you create a new dimension, you call it the banana shake. But they always stay separate. But once they become a banana shake, they cannot separate them. And this is more or less the same. Once you can give part of your soul for the creation of the other, when the other is dead for the same creation. But now, through the process of what we call creation of the soul first, as I said before, rapes become impossibility, creation of child through rapes, because the souls are not there to give. I don't want to create because it's not my wish. And then, on the other hand, adultery becomes impossible because the body of physicality is committed to another soul in the dimension of the soul. Then we understand a lot. In a way, you see this happening in the dimension of the animals. They choose a mate, and for life they live with each other. And if one dies, the other one doesn't accept another partner. Because that soul was tuned so much that creates a perfect child every time. In a dimension of physicality. In a way, the soul of the man lives that way. And now we have to understand, man has been given an opportunity not only to understand the operation of the soul, but to create the children of the soul of the man. And now it's a choice. And gradually, in coming time, the human race will move to that dimension as we live with a dimension of the soul, which is a perfect, accommodates everything, all needs and all what the physicality might desire to have. There shall be no prisons, there shall be no hospitals, and I'm sure you will not see any maternity, what you call sections in hospitals, because we give life to the soul in the dimension of physicality. And then to the eye of the beholder, the manifestation according to the wishes of the soul will be created. This process has already started on this planet. So gradually the human race will change in that direction. Unless you want to be what I call passengers of UFOs and travel in the dimension of physicality and see more. But I promise you something, there is more in the dimension of the soul than physicality can ever produce. In a way, if you think of it, the scientists tell us 5% or 3% of the mass of the universe is physical we observe. This is a physical side. The other 95%, what we call the space camp, is a dimension of the soul. There's much more in that depth than what you see as a few clusters of stars, and you call them galaxies and the rest. Mankind should be glad it's been given the choice and has become aware of existence of the two dimensions, where up to now that has been abused in the name of religions or made up religions. As we explained in the Friday teaching with the American, Sunday teaching with the American teachings. Some of you listen to the American teachings of this Sunday. I wonder how many of you would stay Christian. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Antonio is asking in the Q&A, Mr. Keshe, I heard these words today: you are the world and the world is you. Now, after hearing your teaching today, we can say you are the universe and the universe is you. In understanding this connection of all life is a very profound revelation to me. So that was from Antonio. Is there any comment on that, or go on to the next?
Next, please.
Okay. We have a Gans question from Liko in the Q&A. What kind of Gans is better for the water charging station, a washed Gans or an unwashed Gans? And also, do you use dried Gans in a water charging station?
I don't know what you call it, the charging station. That depends what you're using it for. We use salted Gans for different purposes. We use unsalted Gans for different purposes. For example, when we do the water Gans for corona or using on the body, we tell you, make sure you wash it completely out of salt, because if you use it with the salt, then you have all the, what they call the rashes and the salt burns, as we see. So you wash it. But if you want to use it in a specific way for as a herbicide or pesticide, you have to understand what kind of salt you add to the water. They say there are horses for courses. Depends what horse you have and what course you want to run that horse on.
Okay. He goes on to say it's for attaching Gans tubes to a water dispenser.
But again, what do you want to use it for?
Right.
It's different. It's totally different, because it depends what you want to use. And even some of the drinking waters, we clean up the salt totally, but we add another salt of different for a specific purpose. Those knowledge seekers who are interested, listen to the Sunday teaching, because some people have asked in the background, oh, since Sunday, can you explain more about what was taught about Christianity and Vatican? It's for you to search and understand. As in the Sunday teaching of the American Corona team, it was very simply explained how and why we have the Vatican in the center of the Rome or Italy, and how it came to become. Any other question?
We have Ruthie with a hand up here, so I expect she has something to say.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, just wondering how we can achieve the state that to connect to each cell of our brain cell. And what's the first step? Because I think maybe the first step is we believe that we have that capability, because you are strengthened that it's us to deny that what we had on inside us, what we had that capability, but we denied. But I think except we fully believe in, is there any other way that to starting to build that connection?
It's not believing, is understanding the reason and the purpose of it, why it's there. Then you don't need to believe it. It's me who wants to feel the emotion of the warmth of the room. To the ants, to the cat, to the fish in the tank in the house is irrelevant. For them, it's perfect. Why is it not comfortable for me? We don't see the ant running. Where is the water? I have to go. It's too warm. We don't see the cat, the dog, or the fish. It's us according to our emotion, understanding, and expectation that we can connect, but we have to understand what is the essence of the creation for that emotion. And what leads to its creation to be that emotion. Which part of me decides to be in that emotion? We definitely create fields from it, because in the examination by the doctors and the tools we have, they can measure it. They can measure the fields emitted from the brain of the man. And they said this is the part of the joy. But the tool of the man does not measure the strength of the soul in that point. Again, we just see the physical frequency. We need to go and, in a way, start listening to our soul than to our physicality, and live by that dimension. And then it'll come out the way it should be. This is, in a way, the way the teaching has been in past years. I never come with a script. My soul feels what the soul of the totality of knowledge seekers needs to know, or what has been the need of one to complete, to reach another level. And the teaching goes on those bases. We never pre-plan unless we know what a question is through the soul. The people who've been around teachings in the studios and in teaching, I never carry a piece of paper or a note what's going to be taught today, and where you can find the references. The references are the work of your soul, is with you. Each one of us carries a different reference book because we can connect to it in one way or another. And this is the essence of creation. The essence of wanting to be part of the creation and connect ourselves with that part. We decide which club we want to be a member of and where we want to be to see friends. So it's the same with our soul. We have to decide at what strength we want to connect with and why. The rest is done by interaction of the, what I call, emotion of the field. Yeah.
I've got another question from Liko in the Q&A. It's, how is the plasma flying car and the plasma communication device coming along? Are they going to be in the Keshe store soon?
Can you repeat?
Liko says, how is the plasma flying car and the plasma communication device coming along? Are they going to be in the Keshe store soon? Hello, Mr. Keshe.
We Yes, I said we will demonstrate these and the technology in full in Iran in the coming time. We've been asked by the authorities to delay our trip into Tehran till the new president takes office on the 2nd of August. If we return to Iran now, it will be the same regime, the same structure, and be abide by the wishes of the Iranian leadership that when we go back, we will see a new structure and the system will be introduced. The plasma system, the flying, the energy, the basis for the production of the plasma generator, 100% supply, is already being transferred to Iranian knowledge seekers who work in the field. And we work on those bases, but principally we will show massive amount of new technologies within the first few weeks of our return to tech, in conjunction with the scientists from Iranian universities, the knowledge seekers in Iran, and the rest of the world. As I said, when we travel back to Iran, it will be a team of 10 from the Keshe Foundation. We cover all aspects of technology. We go back with doctors, with people in agriculture, with the space and energy, and with development in computers and the new structure. In the coming weeks, you will see, and even as of today, the new robots developed by the Keshe Foundation, what we call Internet Group, has come into operation in a number of the Keshe Corona teams. These are the new programs. Everything is getting written for the Keshe Foundation from scratch, that we will not depend on anything. If you've seen the new voting system, which is coming in a couple of the Keshe Foundation Corona teams, 3 or 4 more will be added this week. You won't see any more spams. Before, we had to rely on the built-up systems from outside. Everything in Iran is getting built to build one international organization on the banner of the Keshe Foundation, and developing technologies to be able to control the plasma car, the plasma systems of lights, all will be developed, and it's getting developed in Iran in conjunction with a lot of other works which is getting there.
Okay, I remind the attendees they can put their virtual hands up, and they are allowed to speak here. We have another question about GANs from Liko. Why do you sell unwashed GANs reserves in the Keshe store instead of washed GANs? Does washing it make it stronger or weaker or something else?
No, we do that because the knowledge seekers then decide what to do with it when it's arrived. And second, it's easier for us to sell unwashed. It takes less time. But essentially, we leave it in its original structure. Because when you start washing gases, you take certain amount of the strength away, because you more or less dilute the energies. But essentially, we never send gases out unless it's specific for a specific request that's washed, because the essence of the original energy still sits with that. When you get salted gases, don't just wash and throw it away. Keep that salt water. It's one of the most original strength of the full spectrum. You can do a lot of things with it. Even when you make your gases as a sweet gas, just take 1 drop of it, of the original salt water you received, and put in it. Because some of the spectrum of the energy is already, by wash, has gone out. You put it back in. The with the new factories of the Keshe Foundation coming into operation, will totally primarily work in that direction, unless we go for drying or for a specific farming or application, in medical application. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Jefferson here. Go ahead, Jefferson.
Hello, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, everyone. It's Jefferson Rodriguez from Brazil. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Good morning. It's always an honor to meet with you in any plasmatic level, and say thank you for everything. And I'd like to bring a point from Sunday teaching that you gave us, and the informations about the St. Peter's Basilic. It's over Demetriism as a way to take this knowledge and to put a kind of weight that nobody can find it, although it exists, I think, because they took everything. It's all around. And if that was Mitra's a place of veneration from others, as we could see, the obelisk in the Vatican was moved from the original position that I was reading about. And we considered that 5,000 years before it was started, the process, this process of creation. And throughout this gap of 5,000 years, we don't have any register anywhere. What happened, if you can tell us, or in this gap between the original start and then the way that they changed the history of Mithraism to hold, and as well that the Christianism or the church took the wine just to exchange instead of SOMA that was using, but that is a kind of freedom state from the population, and the soldiers use it too, and to give in the China as well. They use this kind of elixir or nectar. And, you know, just to understand better what happened with it all, was a way to control the society, just hiding this simple strength. That's what I was thinking about, and I would like to share with you all. And
I don't understand what you're trying to ask. You see, the thing is, let me explain. I understand you're trying to explain the gap. There has never been a gap. Is that the reality is that we have never looked into it. Let me explain to those who are not aware of what is discussed in the background. On the Sunday teaching, we explained that the reason, we asked a simple question: why Vatican is built where it's built, and why is it in the middle of the country as a state of its own, and it's built the way it is. And what is missing from the historical background or in public domain is that when the soldiers of Rome stretched their boundaries to the borders of Persian Empire at the time of the Romans, they did not go all the time hand in hand. And sometimes there was conflicts, and sometimes when they reached a peaceful position, many of the soldiers noticed that in Iran there is no temples with statues, where the Romans had the statues. The what we call the Zoroastrians at that time, the Mitras at that time, the followers of Mitra, explained to them that you don't need the statue to go. You can carry that statue in the belief of the creator within you, which is God. And this was a very important thing for soldiers, because they had to carry with them something to keep the belief. Now they could believe that it's with them without carrying anything. And that was a revelation. But then we had the soldiers of Rome, which went to Palestine. And then they were involved in the crucifixion of Christ. They came back, they could put a man to it. Now they had a figure. What they did, they brought this into the understanding of the soldiers from the Persian Empire and those who were in Palestine at that time, and they created what we see as a cross, which was a sign of Rome, the power of Rome. We can put you on the cross and that's it, we dictate your life. And then they had, the public wanted the understanding of, we want what the Romans from Persia have, and then they built up this structure of the present Christianity, you see, where the Rome was the ultimate power with the cross, with the putting a man on it, but they all came in a different dimension and directions. The ones from the Persian Empire, when they brought this belief of God without the temple, they made group of themselves. And these groups were always small groups. And then when they grew to a bigger group, they split up to the next one. And the Romans who came through the Persian Empire side, they made these temples, but they were bigger temples. They were what they call the stronger temples, more prestigious people were part of these temples. And one of these main temples of Mitra was in the center of Rome. When the Roman Empire did not want to split, and because of the belief of the two sides coming together, they decided that they build a compromise position, call it the State of Vatican, over the Temple of Mitra, which was in Central. And St. Peter's Basilica is actually a Temple of Mitra. It's built on the Temple of Mitra because that was the wishes of the Roman Empire, that they could show their power, but they had the belief of what they brought from Iran and what was coming from the public, which was the Christ Christianity, we know it. And everything was modified to suit the man of the power. But to be still, we are in power, we give you the Christ you want, but our rules, 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of Mitra, the light. And then one of the things that Mithraism believed in and lived on, and the people of that structure, they used to drink a sap from a tree, which gave them a lot of energy, which in a way was another way of building confidence. And the Romans had nothing to match, but Rome was full of wine, red wine, and it looked like a color. So they brought wine to be that sap because they gave energy. And then they built from it, this is my blood, this is my body, and the rest of it we know in the Catholicism, which never existed. Christ never touched such a thing. And now we see the process of Catholicism as we see it, and this breaking of the bread and the wine, which actually came from the source of Iranian belief through Mithraism, and in part of it of Hinduism, which was merged into it. By drinking this water, you get energy, and then what we see, the mysteries of the blood and the whatever we call it today, which is what we call it, used in Catholicism, but it actually comes through Mithraism. But the process of the building of the Vatican was then the animal behavior was changed to become the souls, and they took the stones of Colosseum to build the Vatican from it, because nobody was prepared to pay anymore to build, to bring stones in. So it was free there, they converted, they used it. If you remember, many years ago in my teaching, I said, I bring the time that the stones of the Vatican shall be returned to Colosseum. Because when we know the truth, like now we know now, there is no dimension in the essence of the creation and the creator except oneness, and we don't need these fake buildings to abuse the soul of the man, because they see the man is weak. On this point, we've used it. In so many ways, the teaching of Mitra never stopped. It scattered and it came out in different ways in different parts of the world, but those who could touch the soul of the man. Mitraism does not go back 5,000 or 7,000 years. Mitraism goes to the essence of the creation of life on this planet. But even that had to be translated in different direction and dimension. In the teachings, I've explained before that why we love the planet Earth is because we're Mitra, the soul of the lover of the creator, saw the beauty of this planet and wanted to exist and give birth to his child on this planet. Because we look for the best places to live, so Mitra found Earth as a point where it could give manifestation to its physicality. We always said Mitra is the light, not the physicality. Man has changed into the dimension of a person. The same as what we have, the creator itself has no dimension of physicality, but is a light. And the interaction of the most beautiful lights of the creator and Mitra, which is the created by the creator to be loved, is the child of Mitra. That's why you call it the Son of God. Is the essence of the love affair between the creator and his created, that he wanted to show they can create together. And then in Christianity, that has been changed to Son of God. And this is why, as if we read in most of historical things, many of the old leaders for the emperors, they call themselves being connected to the creator and being the son. Because in essence, the beauty of the earth brought Mitra from light to dimension of physicality, that the creator could enjoy the physical dimension of his beauty. And we have what we have today. And so, in so many ways, we are all the sons and children of the creator through the love of Mitra, now transforming this energy from the dimension of what we call the light to the dimension of physicality, which over time and evolution of dimension of physicality interaction with the planet Earth, physical, emotional, all has led to creation of physical man.
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, your microphone needs to be adjusted or something. It's rubbing perhaps on some clothing or something.
Yep.
Okay, thank
You
you.
are correct. Thank you very much. It got trapped somewhere. So we understand the totality of the essence of the creation and how Mitra came to be. You know, Mitra is what we call the light from the love of the creator, and when he created the light, what we call Eve, in interaction with it, he loved it so much that he wanted to create more, but through the love of his created, which is the children of Mitra, which spans the span of the universe and the cosmos, and it's not exclusivity of the planet. So there's nothing missing. It's us who, as usual, are lost in the time of the history of creation.
Mr. Keshe, if we look at in the scientific way that our planet was created with the mixture of hydrogen and other materials and the strength of the universe, this seed is the seed, the Eve or the material that came to start this process? How could we see it through the eye of, if I can ask it, as I don't know, but I understand much of what you say. Thank you.
What we have is very much, as we say, the light of Mitra in interaction with the what we call distance of the field of the creator, and in interaction with the soul of the earth, which is from interaction of the fields of it, has created that physical dimension. Like as I said, the what we call the reaching of the hand to get the water. But in essence, that emotion, initial emotion to reach out or to feel thirsty, came from the interaction of the fields of the soul, soul of physicality and soul of emotion, that they reach the physical motion of speaking, I'm thirsty or whatever. That speaking or raising of the hand is the creation of man. Where the soul of the creator is the sun, the soul of the earth is Mitra. And then the soul of physicality of the cell of the emotion is the dimension of the interaction, which with the inertia of the physicality leads to the creation of it. We are created out of the interaction of the love of the creator, not by accident of time and place and dimension. In a way, when this light of the creation and the creator matches with the inertial fields of the emotion, leads to the dimension of creation of physicality. And in time and space, man will understand this. This is how you will decide how to manifest yourself in a given time and position. Because the soul of the physicality of the man, which carries with the man, and the soul of the emotion, when it comes in interaction with the new environment, then it decides what shape and manifests itself. Then at that point, you become the structure which the environment allows you to be. Mankind has got a lot to see, that the beauties of this planet is much more beautiful when you work through the creation and interaction of your own soul. We just open the door. It's for you to cross the door and see what's on the other side. But to cross it, you have to understand the totality and accept the totality of the conditions.
Did you say totality of conditions? Just to understand that through the soul and our emotions, we can, each of us, have this energy to change as creator or co-creators and helping this change from our planet and the interaction with this new step that's to come, I think. And the way that in my knowledge in the studying and trying to understand in all levels, in all souls, it's a very interesting a time that you have the opportunity to have your knowledge spread in such a simple way in the historic real facts. And this is very important for us to understand that going to the right direction with the right emotions, the right intentions, and thinking about really feeling the peace inside ourselves. That's all wonderful way to interact with these energies, that we can help everyone or create a new universe or whatever. That's why it's a nice journey. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Keshe, we have a question in the Q&A from Hassan, who asks, Mr. Keshe, are negative emotions such as anger linked to the soul of physicality, and positive emotions such as joy or love linked to the soul of the man? Do we have to give the total control of our life to the soul and let her detach us from the negative emotions? Or is it the job of the physicality to decide to get rid of any negative thinking? Thank you for being with us.
The emotion of any emotion within the structure of the body of the man, in a way, is controlled by the dimension of the physicality of the man. Because at the end of it is a physicality which benefits from that behavior. We've seen, I've been witness to many of these scenes where you sit in a room and 2 or 3 people sit, and the same person speaks with love and affection to one and turns around at the same time with anger and disgust with the other, and then with gentleness and care to the other. And many times I've said, people who've been near me, I'll explain to them, this is what the man is. We choose. It's the same soul, it's the same body, it's the same voice. It's just in interaction with another soul of physicality, we decide to change. It's us who is the creator of that change within us, in what we get out of our behavior in physical dimension in respect to the emotion which we create. And this has been one of the trigger points for me for many years. And I always said, how can this be? The same person shows so much love and affection to one, courtesy and respect to the other, and anger and discarding to the other at the same time. So it's not us, maybe from the love and affection to one expects love and affection back. To the one with the hate is to settle the old score, at the same time everyone knows. And the one you respect is to say, I know you are here, but I'm trying to be very polite. But just to you, not to the others. And this is so not us on the soul level, is the physicality of the man which creates these what we call behaviors. It's the same body, the same soul, the same room. We decide, and this has to change. Where the man in the room, does not matter who sits, has the same behavior towards all. Because we have these behaviors because of the expectation of the dimension of physicality. What we need from it. When the man becomes detached, has no needs, will speak the same way to all 3. This man will understand in a very short time, in the coming time. When you live in the level of the soul and you have understanding of his existence, you will speak to all men the same. And you don't deprive one of one on the other. But in time you pay for your conduct. In a way, the souls will settle, the score to settle will put. When you deprive the father from the love of the child, or the child from the love of the father, The one who does will settle with his soul because he has to find adjustment. When you settle, when the body gets to that point, then everything will be clear. It's the same body. It's just choosing. Abuse and attachment.
We had a question from Dan, and it's in Romanian, and the Google translation might be inaccurate, but the question comes out to, what is that positioning called when someone rejects your gift? Does that question make sense to you, Mr. Keshe? What is that positioning called when someone rejects your gift?
I have to think about this because it happened to me personally a few years ago in Italy. And I could not comprehend it, I could not understand it. And in my last visit a few weeks ago to Italy, while we were there, it became very clear. Traditionally, the Italians, if they want to end up a relationship with you, they give all your gifts back to you. Well, that's what we understood. But what I couldn't understand was that the behavior of total community, or what we call the group of people, was not at the level that we look at it in other parts of the world. They don't accept, because when they give you the gift back, it means there's no reminder of you in the house or with them. That when you look at it, they solve the problem in a very scientific way. When you give something to someone, a gift, when it's with them, they see, they remember you, or they have to remember you. When they give you a gift back, it means it's finished. They have no worries to remember you, for whatever reason they'll be. And then we found out that the cause of return of the goods to us was actually a betrayal, but those who set it out to be. And I could not understand this. Now I understand very clearly why we return gifts, because then I don't have to do anything about it or remember you're there. And it doesn't matter what emotional condition creates on you, you have created so much what I call hate, that I prefer not to carry the suffering. And we had this behavior repeated again and again around us, and it hasn't stopped in past year. Because the condition was to create as much animosity and hate that people don't want to do. And in the past year, I have not seen such a thing. And you understand that why they do it. They don't want to have any memories, because you are the source of their pain. You have intruded into their emotion, and you have not respected their, what we call, agreed condition. It's very common in Italy. I could not understand it the first time it happened. It took me more or less 3, 4, 5 years And I had to analyze it. It was something which I could not understand while we were living in Italy. And in my last trip, I had to go back to the same position and the same people and understood why people do these things. In English language, we have a beautiful song. It says, return to the sender. There's no such address. Because then I don't have to carry the pain of it if I accept it. Any other?
Okay, we have a Wayne with a hand up here. Would you like to go ahead, Wayne?
Thanks, Rick. Hi, Mr. Keshe. Thanks for allowing me to talk. I would like to speak
Where
to.
are you from? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I've been on before, and I am from the.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm from I'm from New Zealand.
Yes.
I'd like to share something with you and some other knowledge seekers. A bit about the soul, and a bit about the light that, if they fortunate to behold, it's the most beautifulest thing that could ever happen to them. Would it be okay for me to share with some knowledge seekers?
The thing is, where have you got the pictures from and whose it is? Because if it's a copyright picture, we cannot show. We would like to see these things.
It's not picture, Mr. Keshe. It's not a picture.
Yeah, but where does it come from? Is it yours, or does it belong? You picked it up from somewhere?
No, it's the essence. It's the essence. It's something that happened to me a while ago, a long time ago. And it's,
you're not showing somebody's work. It's something you want to explain.
yes, right? Yes. I'm not showing anyone. I'm not showing anyone's work. It's something that.
Rick, you have to allow that, please. It's on your panel. To share a screen.
I can't share it. Oh, you mean share a screen? I just thought I'd explain something about the soul.
Okay, so explain. So no problem. I thought you want to show something.
Oh no! I don't have anything to show.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
I wouldn't be able to show it. I wouldn't be able to show it, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, carry on, please.
Okay, it's what I'd like to share with the knowledge seekers is something that happened to me. It's now about 10 years ago, and it's got everything to do with your teaching, everything in its essence. When it happened to me, I hope it could happen to every single person on this planet when they can behold the sparkling water bubbling out from the flame. For anyone to behold that is the greatest gift that they could ever receive. And when you stand before it, it's a moving, the water is moving. It is motionless at the same time. It's sparkling. And I can't explain it because you go through every single atom of your body is vibrating, and you don't exist. It's like you're able to behold a perfect mind. And that's it's difficult for me to explain what I hope every single knowledge seeker could behold. That's all I wanted to say. And they must just don't ever give up, because it's the most beautiful thing that could ever happen to you. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Or shall we call it a day?
Well, we can certainly do that, Mr. Keshe. Let me see. I think we pretty much covered it. There's one.
Thank you very much.
Well, never mind.
Go on. What is one?
There's one from the Italian community about why do we have unconnected DNA strands and use only 5% of our brain and do not connect with our unconscious. So, in fact, this prevents our evolutionary spiritual progress.
I don't understand it.
I guess there's assuming that if we connect our DNA strands and use the other 95% of our brain, it would help our spiritual progress. Question's a little needs to be formulated a little better.
There is, I think what I understand, there is no disconnection in our DNA or RNA. It's us through choice have decided this. If I understood the question correctly. Okay, thank you very much for today.
Very good.
We added a little bit to our knowledge and to our understanding, and hopefully we add more to it as we understand more. And we are moving in the right direction to understand not only the soul, but the interaction of the totality of the souls which make us as a human. And then maybe in a coming time, we can even explain why some of us, now that we understand the interaction of the soul of the physicality, the soul of the man, and soul of the emotion, which sits within the brain of the man, decides to create disabilities, conditional handicaps, or a beautiful eye, or a beautiful face, or a total behavior which behavior has never been explained to mankind. What is behavior? Where does it come from? What does it initiate? What we call a behavior? And in the coming time, maybe next session, we try to explain this, that then you understand more about the existence of the soul, which that behavior collectively makes us and makes us our community, makes us our nationals, and what we call as one nation, one planet, our interaction with our environment. In a way, what leads to creation of behavior? What leads then we become man of earth with this kind of behavior? Or we become man of a nation, a part of this planet, because of certain behavior. What does our environment, what does interaction with the other souls and the soul of the planet, which dictates we have such a face, such a color, such a behavior, and it becomes what we call a way of us being recognized as us. What do we see in that recognition as the totality of the souls of that nation? And then why we call it the one nation, that we get rid of this regional allocation, but understanding of it. We're entering a new phase of, for us as a human race to understand the prerequisite and precondition to every peace, because we have to understand why we create that emotions, why do we create that behavior within us, that somebody can become an enemy and somebody a friend, and as the time is planned, a friend can become an enemy the next day. This is part of the peace plan, and this is part of what will bring out, especially in the 5+1, 5+2 negotiations by the world-leading nations, that then they can convey back to the other nations across this planet that will reach the momentous time of peace on this planet in the coming time. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we see you in other part of the teaching of the Keshe Foundation around the world. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Dean. We had a bit of hiccup this time, but it's part of moving to a new location. And as we said, the Keshe Foundation now has entered its TV station in its final position. And we'll have some hiccups next 2 or 3 weeks till it's fully set. And we'll most probably go back to the studio to see the development of the new exhibition center, which should hopefully open before the end of this month, and the new television station and the conference rooms. The Keshe Foundation head office now in Lens has its own permanent, more or less, around about 100 to 200 seater auditorium. We're going back to what we had in Ninov. The Keshe Foundation has set up, and you can organize conferences for every aspect of the Keshe Foundation, teaching in agriculture and the rest, and hold it in the permanent home of the Keshe Foundation. In Lens, we open it up in the next few weeks, hopefully by the first, second week of August. You can organize conferences on a permanent basis, regular teachings through the Keshe Foundation, as the studio, television studio, is part of the same structure. Then we can hold regular conferences on a regular position that everybody knows what is to come in around the world. And we try to specialize in conferences, seminars for different scientists, different educated people in different aspects of their life. And we are hoping one of the first ones will be done through the meeting of the farmers and agriculturalists in Austria, in the city of Linz, over September, where we can show the development of the new, what we call agricultural life and what it is, and then into the others. Thank you very much for today, and we hope we meet soon. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Dean, in the background.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for another Knowledge Seekers workshop here. And of course, we'll be back next week at the same time and place for the 387th workshop. And we also have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday of next week at the 4 p.m. Central European time. And there'll be other broadcasts in the background that are announced in our social media. Thank you, everybody for being a part of our presentation here today. And if there's anybody that has any questions left over, please present them and formulate them for next time around. Okay, thanks. And Dean, I'm not sure if you have something to play at the end there, but I'll leave that up to you. And bye, everyone. Thanks for now. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Stellar development, purest universal knowledge, in a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our universal We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring